Duane Rankin, I hope you're doing well. Welcome into the game here in Tuscaloosa.
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Very well, very well. Looking forward to spending some time talking about your article here on the Montgomery Advertiser, looking at this all Nick Saban team. It makes you think. And Nick Saban has got a lot of guys playing at the next level in the NFL.
Yeah. It was just one of those deals where I just was looking at, what Calipari was saying. John Calipari, of course, of just UK hoops, and he was boasting, and I started thinking, wait a minute, I wonder. I'm like, I just started thinking about Alabama's football program, and just thought, okay, well, that's basically the same thing, with just more championships on the table than Calipari has won in comparison to Saban. And then just started going through numbers and started looking up, and then the combine made me think of it as well. 10 guys getting invited, and I'm just like, I just wonder how many there actually are. And once you start adding up numbers, it's like, wow, it's a lot, a lot of guys. And so I just had a little fun with it, just started going through who would fit here, who would fit there, sort of trying to be a GM for a day, but it was fun. It was fun. I had a good time writing it.
Well, and I was spending time, talking about the Super Bowl. Possibly they could win the Super Bowl, but I would be willing to bet there might be maybe one other, maybe two other school that could even field a team. LSU, I know they have a ton of guys right now playing in the league. You go to Ohio State, they've got some guys, but there's just a handful of schools that could even field a team, much less compete for a Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, that's what makes it crazy. It's just, NBA, you got, 12, 13, 14, 15 players. The NFL, you got 53. And so to have that, that amount when you count the combine invites, it's just crazy. And just, like you said, there's a handful. LSU, I think Ohio State. I think you may see even say, Clemson in a few years, Michigan in a few years, but that's going to take some time. Just like it took time to get this number for Saban, but to have that many and the depth, just thinking of when I was going through it, I'm thinking, okay, you could have Amari Cooper and Julio Jones on the same team.
Wow. Yeah.
That would be that'd be scary. To be honest, the defensive guys that they have that are in the league, at linebacker group, talking about Mosley and Hightower playing together. The secondary, you can look at Collins and Clinton Dix, being safeties. That's a no-fly zone. You're not throwing in that area, because one will knock you out and the other one, allow to pick it off. So it's just a collection of guys, and to have that many in the league is very impressive.
Duane, I've been honest with the audience today, and I've talked about myself getting upset at medical facilities for having to wait. And, I mean, we've all been there, right? I mean, doctor says 2:15. You're lucky if you get back to 3:15. Could be 4:15. May not even be seen. But I'm curious what you thought about Reuben Foster's incident there in Indiana. Did you take it as a big deal, or maybe it's just something we're making out of nothing?
I don't know. I wish I could get more detail. I mean, I know a lot of stuff is out there about what happened. I think, one of the biggest things when you look at it is in regards to him, they also said the interview process didn't go well. And the medical, I mean, yeah, you don't know how that went in that room, and were they, he obviously was getting a treatment that he wasn't used to in terms of fight, was jerking on the shoulder, but you're talking about an NFL team getting ready to pay millions of dollars. So there's people that are working with him got to figure out what's wrong. Even if he is telling them what's wrong, they still got to examine him. And it may have been a little rough with the examination. I don't know. But I think the interview process is going to be, is damaging because, I'm not talking about a guy that's not going to get drafted. He's still going to be in the first round, But just the fact that that's out there, that he didn't interview well that spread. That spreads with other people, other GMs, other scouts, other coaches. And so now you have a reputation. that's starting to develop. And so that would be, to me, the interview process is just as alarming, if not more alarming, than the medical. Because the guy's hurt, he's hurt. And so, they got to figure out what's wrong with him. And then they figure it out, and then they make a determination. But the interview situation is something that people can hold over your head later on. When you get in a situation where you're with a one-on-one. Now, once they get these one-on-ones, whether it's on Alabama's campus or when they fly Reuben in, they go to a team, then they can make up for that. But at this initial moment, that's hanging over his head. So I think that's more. I think that's just as big an issue as the actual medical part.
But Duane, I often wonder, and I mean, you and I cover college football for a living. It's not like 32 NFL teams. Sometimes you might want a guy to slide a little bit. I just wonder how many times it's actually leaked out to the media. Hey, man, this guy had a real, real bad meeting. I hope he doesn't slide too far. And some of those teams are sitting there waiting, going, please let him slide just a few spots. Because when I look at Reuben Foster, we've had guys where NFL draft analysts who said this is the number one player in the draft. When you're talking about, forget about need. He said just number one player. He said, I'll take Reuben Foster long-term in the NFL. The guy can play. He's a disruptor. We had a guy came on a couple of weeks ago and said he's number 2 overall. He said loves him at San Fran. I just wonder how much sometimes that's leaked out. Hey, this guy had a real bad meeting to make other franchises go, should we take him? Let him slide a couple spots, and those teams will be sitting there to grab him up. You know how those scouts work.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. I mean, you can look at, for example, I know that something came out here about a Michigan State defensive lineman, and a team basically said that he was the worst interview they ever did.
Sure.
And so, did it have to be known? Probably not. But now that kid's out there. His name was Malik McDowell. Matter of fact, the defensive lineman from Michigan State.
Right.
So now that's out there. So okay. So now it does put thought in a GM or owner or head coach's head. Okay, well now you're asking what made the interview bad, and all these guys know each other. They do. They know each other. But I do think the athlete needs to understand that going in.
Sure.
I think sometimes the athlete thinks, well, look, man, I've done this, I've done that, I'm good. It can easily change. You're seeing guys, when stuff comes out on them, at the last, the day of the draft, the day before the draft, they drop in the draft. They've done all this stuff prior to this, played 3 years, played 4 years, went through the combine, went through the pro days, all the interviews, and then they get up to the day before the draft and news comes out about them. Well, then they end up dropping in the draft. So it can change like that. I think the athletes need to understand that when they're going into this. I was watching the combine because I don't know about you, but I watch it religiously.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm watching every player. I know it gets boring for some people. I have to watch because you're going to see something maybe you hadn't seen before, like the John Ross 4.22.
Right.
The O.J. Howard running a 4.5 at 250. You're going to see some ridiculous stuff. I should say ridiculous isn't a bad way. When I say it, it means in a good way in this sense. But I guess, I always watch. And there was a guy he was saying during the thing, he was like, people are watching. It was a guy who was running the drill. He had the D lineman around him. And he was saying, people are watching. And it was just like a warning to let them know, hey, look, you can't do what you may think is okay. Is not okay. You can't slip up during this time, particularly during this time. He made the point to say that people are watching him more even now. And I think the athlete has to get that in his head to avoid. I mean, if the guy's pulling, if the hospital medical staff is jerking on your arm or whatever they were doing to Reuben, at that point, he just got to just, all right, I don't like this, but this is what I got to go through. Now, he wasn't going to run from what I understand. He wasn't going to do any of the drills. He was just going to go there to get his medical and his interview. But to be sent home, now it looks It doesn't look good for him. And I think in some way that's going to affect his draft status. Is he going to be not a first? He's going to be a first round pick, but he may drop in the draft. And I could see the whole leakage thing, but man, if they're going that route, dude, it's pretty cutthroat.
No doubt, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But I mean, that NFL is a different bear, man. It
is, no question.
Duane Rankin right now, Montgomery Advertiser, right here on the game as we move forward. Duane, as you go into spring practice, I know you and I just got a press release a couple of minutes ago.
Right.
Alabama will start practice March 21st.
21st.
It's been a worst kept secret that most people out there. But either way, I mean, Nick Saban is pushing it back. I mean, so I guess we could write an article. Nick Saban is changing because normally he starts the Friday. The spring break? I guess what it is, the foundation is so broken here in Tuscaloosa, they couldn't get enough concrete to patch it up, and they're going to have to start after spring break. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
I'm just making that part up. But either way, biggest question going into spring practice for you?
Well, it's interesting, just really quick, I heard you saying Dreamland. There's a Dreamland in Birmingham. There's also one in Montgomery, actually.
Yes, there is. And that one serves barbecue plates, by the way. we don't have that in Tuscaloosa, Northport. We don't get the plates, but you guys do down in Montgomery, by the way.
No, I was just throwing it out there. But no, biggest question to me is, I want to say defense because a number of guys that they lost, but to me, it's this offensive coordinator. What are they going to be doing? What offense are we going to be looking at here? Are we going to see a pro style? Are we going to see read ops? What exactly? It's one thing to sit there and talk with a kid and watch the film, and he's training, with quarterbacks, but it's another thing to when you start seeing it in practice. Okay, well, when I do work here? We know Saban. We know Saban pushes the button. We know it's Saban's philosophy, it's his ideas. We know all that, but the coordinator still has to configure something to enable the current player that he has to fit. And I'm just curious. This guy came from working with Tom Brady. Alabama doesn't have Tom Brady. Don't have nobody like Tom Brady. So what are we doing here? I'm very curious to see what kind of offense comes out of spring. And I know that you know as well as I do, Ryan, when we go to watch the 8A games, this is very vanilla. The offense, they're giving like 10, 20%. So we're still not going to know exactly what they're exactly doing because they're not going to show us much, or anybody much. But I'm just curious to see what they come up with just out of that, considering where this guy's background is in terms of where he was just at and how that translates over to what he has as far as the quarterback position. So I'm very interested to see how that goes. That's probably not the biggest question. The biggest question is probably the defense. Who feels where, Rashaan Evans, he's tweeting now he's going to win the Buckets Award. Okay. Well, you need to set the tone in the spring practice. I need to hear guys when we do the interviews. They're saying, "Boy, Rashaan Evans is lighting people up," because if you're gonna put that out there, all right. Well, let's see that. Let's see this defensive guy that come in there and elevate and step up. Because is it Deron Payne? Is he that guy? Is he going to emerge as the guy on that D line that makes things happen? Linebacker Rashaan Evans, Minka. We know those guys, but who are going to be some other guys going to step their game up to keep that defense at the level that it's been for the last, 9
years? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Duane, I asked that last week when I talk about the alpha dog. I mean, this team needs an alpha dog.
Right.
Whoever is going to step up. I mean, Sean Deion Hamilton would have been that obvious guy without an injury. But you look right now, I don't see an alpha dog right now. I mean, Rashaan Evans could talk on Twitter, but let's see what he does when covering that tight end out of the flats.
Right.
I mean that was a problem against Florida. That first play in the game, boom, bam,
yes,
bam.
It was.
But I mean, you look at that alpha dog. That's a big question for Alabama. Who's going to step up and be that the guy that flips over the medical table there waiting on a 2-hour wait and says, I'm not waiting anymore. You need
Right.
that alpha dog. You're going to miss that guy by the name of Reuben Foster.
Right. Guys like Reuben Foster. I mean, they had a bunch of them on last year's team. Reuben, Brian Anderson, Jonathan Allen. They had those guys that that commanded a high level of respect in the huddle, in the locker room. Eddie Jackson, even though he wasn't like that, he didn't come off as that rough guy, but people still listen, to what he had to say. Who's going to be that guy that's going to command not only the respect of the teammates, but also has the talent that they have to respect as well. All those guys I just named, you had to respect what they said because of what they did on the field. What guys do they have that's coming up that's going to command that because not only how they play, but how they carry themselves, how they present themselves, how they act, how they interact with not only the players but with the coaching staff. All that comes into play because everyone's watching. Other guys that are coming up, they're watching. Okay, well, let me see how Jonathan Allen acts with, with Pruitt. How does he interact with Saban? They're watching all that, and so you have to see all that. And so, it's interesting to see what guys develop and become that. Because I agree with you, they don't need just one. Alabama never had just one. They've always had 3 or 4. They need that.
I 100% agree. Duane Rankin, final question. Let me go back here. Is Tua Tagovailoa, in your opinion, I mean, is this just talk? Can he truly push Jalen Hurts? And I know we only have high school film to go by, but judging, I mean, we talked about the pro set about 5 minutes ago. If they truly go to a pro set, I look at the comfortable at times as the pocket is uncomfortable to Jalen Hurts. Can he develop into that? Even if they just run it 50% of the time, I see a guy that's uncomfortable in the pocket in Jalen Hurts. What do you think about the quarterback situation? You think we're going to truly have a competition here?
I do because I think I'm gonna figure out how to pronounce kid's name before spring practice.
Tua Tagovailoa, I think.
I'm gonna get it. I'm
gonna send you. The problem is, don't look at the last name because the way it's spelled, it'll throw you completely off. I promise you. You gotta look at the, and I'll send it to you. It's a cheat sheet for us broadcasters.
Well, I tell you what, he looks like a talent to me.
Yes, he does.
And Jalen, the last 4 games, he made plays, but boy, he did some other things too. And so I'm just wondering. I don't think it's a matter of whether he can't, because the kid can play.
Sure.
I mean, he made tremendous plays all year long, and even in the national championship game where he didn't play his best, he would have been the hero had Deshaun Watson not had that drive at the end. Obviously, he would have been the guy. So I think that you can't get caught up too much in what happened in the last 4 games, but you got to take it into account because those were the better defenses that they played. Now you're talking they have more film on him, so this year going into the season they're going to have all that film on Jalen, and so that plays a part. But as far as the actual competition itself, look, they've had a competition every year since A.J. McCarron left. I don't see that changing this year. I think that there's going to be competition between those 2 young men, and I don't see because to me, I think Saban is now comfortable with that. The whole idea of let's figure it. If it takes right up until the game, a couple of days before, if that's how long it takes for us to make the determination, that's what we're going to do. And he's now comfortable doing that. So I think you're going to see that. I don't think he's going to commit to somebody. I think Jalen Hurts proved himself last year, but the competition is there with the young man from Hawaii. And I just, what I saw in the clips, again, it's clips. They're not going to show you the bad plays, but what I saw in that, if that can translate over to this spring practice, Ugh, very interesting spring.